True Peace Kings, Dems Pushing Major TV providers to drop Fox News. Peep the slang. Democrats are defined by their ability to exploit a crisis to push a political agenda, and their tactic has proven to be so successful that the party isn't above fabricating a crisis to achieve its end. Of course, the greatest achievement would be to stain the opposition party so badly that it's no longer competitive, which explains the over-the-top hyper hold applied by Democrats and their media allies in response to the storming of the U.S. Capitol. Another great achievement would be to take away the few platforms available to the Republican Party, as seen when Big Tech effectively canceled a sitting U.S. president by silencing his voice online. Fox News, such as it is, the leading platform, and a pair of Democratic lawmakers sent letters to AT&T, Verizon, Roku, Amazon, Apple, Comcast, Charter, Dish, Cox, Altice, Google, Parent, Alphabet, and Disney on Hulu on Monday, urging them to consider dropping the right-wing media outlet. Peep the slang. Reps Anna Issue, D. California, and Jerry McNerney, D. California, are exploiting the riot at the Capitol to call on the nation's major TV providers to address misinformation on their services. This being a convenient as when big tech liberals and the corrupt media establish controls what the truth is. Two Democratic members of the Congress are pressuring the CEOs of the country's major TV providers to essentially purge the news network these members don't like on the basis of the alleged danger posed by misinformation and conspiracy theories. Peter Slang. Our country's public discourse is plagued by misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories, and lies, the Democratic lawmakers wrote. These phenomena undergird the radicalization of seditious individuals who committed acts of insurrection on January the 6th, and it contributes to a growing distrust of public health measures necessary to crush the pandemic. The letter adds, misinformation on TV has led to our current polluted information environment that radicalizes individuals to commit seditious acts and rejects public health best practices, among other issues in our public discourse. Peep the slang, man. To follow along, one must dismiss the notion that the fake news often seen from Fox News competitors is misinformation. Just that which doesn't adhere to the agenda being pursued by these lawmakers. In addition to Fox News, Newsmax, and One America News Networks were also named in the letter. Right-wing media outlets like Newsmax, One America News Network, and Fox News all aired misinformation about the November 2020 elections. This missive said, for example, both Newsmax and One America News Network ran incendiary reports of false information following the elections and continue to support an angry and dangerous subculture that will continue to operate semi-openly. As a violent mob was breaching the doors of the Capitol, Newsmax coverage called the scene of a sort of a romantic idea. Peep the slang. The letter continued. Fox News, meanwhile, has spent years spewing misinformation about American politics. A Fox News spokesperson said in a statement, as the most watched cable news channel throughout 2020, Fox News Media provided millions of Americans with in-depth reporting, breaking news coverage, and clear opinion for individual members of Congress to highlight. Peep the slang. Political speech they do not like and demand cable distributors engage in viewpoint discrimination sets a terrible precedent. FCC Commissioner Brandon Carr called the letter a chilling transgression of the free speech rights that every media outlet in this country enjoys, the Republican said in a release. By writing letters to the cable providers and other regulated entities that carry these news media outlets, the Democrats are sending a message that is as clear as it is troubling. These regulated entities will pay a price if the targeted newsroom did not conform to Democrats' preferred political narratives. To the House Democrats that used their official letterhead to launch this inquiry, I will say this, he continued, your demand to know the moral principles that guide a private entity's decision about what news carry cannot be reconciled with bedrock principles of free speech and journalistic freedom. Carr concluded by calling on the FCC to join me in publicly denouncing this attempt to stifle political speech and independent news judgment. Here's a quick sample of response to the story from Twitter. Policing disinformation is not within the purview of Congress. If the Constitution is anything other than an old, irrelevant piece of parchment, unconstitutional abuses of power like this must be vigorously opposed. Benny Nomad, Seattle, February 22nd, 2021. It's starting to feel more and more like 1984 now than when Trump was in. If they want to go there, they will have to get rid of all news channels at this point, honestly. So they need to quit playing around and get to actually working for the people. Ashley H. Okay, yeah. Same will go for Comcast since they own the NBC networks. KBTY. Man, peep the slang, man. The Dems.